Hi, my name is Lorenzo Azarbanks here on behalf of Minority Report Law Office here in Oklahoma City. And today I wanted to do a video response to a question as a second installment to our Oklahoma Police Stop series. And the question was, do I have the right to tell an officer that they cannot search my vehicle during a traffic stop? The answer is yes. You can, in fact, tell an officer that they do not have permission to search your vehicle during a traffic stop. However, there are exceptions to this rule, and there is so much law jam-packed into this particular question that to give an exhaustive review would take somewhere around a 40-minute video. So I don't want to do that to you. I want to give you the salient details, the most important details, so you'll know what to do during a police stop that might involve a search. So, with that being said, let's learn a little law. The Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects U.S. citizens from illegal search and seizure from police officers. Not only does it protect you in your home, but it also protects you in your vehicle. And what it says is this. The Fourth Amendment essentially says that if an officer is going to search your vehicle, they can only do so with a warrant. That is the general rule. So, if an officer pulls you over, and 10 out of 10 times they're not going to have a search warrant for your vehicle, and they ask you, can they search your vehicle? You have legal constitutional protections from that search. You may say no, you cannot, because you do not have a warrant as prescribed by the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Now, there are exceptions to this rule, which is why I said this is the general rule. One of the exceptions the United States Supreme Court brought down in 1925. And the U.S. Supreme Court said this. They said, well, considering the nature of police stops and the general mobile character of vehicles, it is impracticable for an officer to go and sit before a judge to get a warrant and then come back and search the vehicle after they have gotten the warrant. That's just not reasonable. So what the U.S. Supreme Court said was this. They said that an officer may search the interior of a vehicle without a warrant and without permission from the owner if the officer has probable cause to do so. Now, you may be wondering, what is probable cause? What is probable cause? Probable cause is a legal standard. It is essentially a question that we ask, would a reasonable, prudent officer believe, considering all the circumstances, that criminal activity was afoot? Basically saying, is it more likely than not that a crime has been committed? And the U.S. Supreme Court went further to say that we determine if there was probable cause by the totality of the circumstances. Let me give you a quick example so we can understand this. There was a case here in the state of Oklahoma where an Oklahoma highway patrolman pulled over a vehicle on the side of the road. As the patrolman approached the driver's side, he noticed the strong smell of marijuana as the driver let down the window. Not only that, the driver's eyes were bloodshot red. Not only that, but in the ashtray, the officer observed two hand-rolled, half-burned, cigarette-like objects. Now, even though the officer did not readily see marijuana, was not actually seeing marijuana, because of the fact that the officer knows that marijuana is oftentimes smoked in a hand-rolled cigarette form. Also, that a side effect of marijuana is oftentimes red eyes. And also, because there was a strong aroma of marijuana coming from the car, all three of these things taken in totality gave the officer enough probable cause to search the interior of that vehicle for a particular crime that is being committed, in this case, possession of marijuana. So that's just an example of what probable cause, how it's assessed, and how it may lead to the searching of your vehicle without your permission. The other exception is a search incident to lawful arrest. And the U.S. Supreme Court came down with this case recently here in 2009. And what they said was this, is that an officer should be able to search the interior of a vehicle if they make an arrest, if they make a valid arrest during a police stop. However, they can only do it under certain circumstances. The first set of circumstances, they said, well, if the officer arrests you, and you're still within arm's reach of the passenger compartment of the vehicle, the officer should be able to search the interior of that vehicle without a warrant and without your permission. Why? Remember from our first video in this series that police safety is paramount to the United States Supreme Court. So the court intimated that they wanted the officers to be able to go inside the car and look for any potential weapons that the suspect may use against the officer. That's the first scenario. Now, the second scenario where the officer is going to be able to search incident to lawful arrest comes about in the situation where you have been arrested, but you're no longer within arm's distance from the interior passenger compartment of that vehicle. The U.S. Supreme Court said that the officers can still search the interior of that vehicle, but with a little more restraint. The U.S. Supreme Court said that they can search the interior of that vehicle, but only for evidence of the crime that they arrested you of. And it has to be reasonable for that evidence to actually be there. Here's an example. Let's say you're pulled over and you're arrested for a suspended license, and the officer then puts you in the back of the squad car to secure you. Now that you've been arrested, and now that you are outside of arm's distance from the passenger compartment of that vehicle, the officer wants to go back in your car and search for drugs and weapons. Now, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, that is a direct violation of your Fourth Amendment rights. Why? Because when you're secured and you're outside of an arm's distance from the passenger compartment of the vehicle, the U.S. Supreme Court said that you can only look for evidence of the crime that you're arresting them of. And in this case, your crime being a suspended license has nothing to do with what the officer is searching for. In this case, drugs and weapons. So this particular incident would be a violation of your rights. So some things we want to take away from this video. Number one, rarely does consenting to an officer's search yield positive results for you. So that's something that you want to keep in mind next time you're stopped and the officer doesn't have a warrant and asks you to search your vehicle. Number two, take precautions before the police stop. If you never give the officer probable cause, that is, everything is in order when the officer pulls you over, and you took precautions before and during the police stop to keep yourself from getting arrested, that is, not giving the officer reason before and during the police stop to arrest you. If you do these things beforehand, the officer's not going to be able to unconsensually search your car. Keep that in mind. Hey, the power's in your hands. Once again, my name is Lorenzo Azar Banks, here on behalf of Minority Report Law. You can reach us at minorityreportlaw.com, or you can catch us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/MRLawOffice, and post your questions there, as well as like us so you can keep updated on the videos that we're posting. So be safe out there and aware out there on the roads, and we'll see you next time.